Good evening and welcome to Spotlight on MX24. My name is Nwong Falong. Now, some members of the National Democratic Congress have called on the party's leadership to return to their core values and principles. Some of these core values and principles, according to them, include a participatory approach to dealing with issues. This comes on the back of internal party wranglings for a change in leadership. Are the two connected? What do these core values and principles represent? Of course, we'll be hearing directly from the NDC in answering these questions and more. But before that, we'll go for a quick break. Spotlight continues shortly. Stay with us.
The NDC's future for me will mean that we should go back to our founding principles. Probity, accountability, and participatory democracy. Our party today is not firmly rooted at the unit or branch level. We have become a huge elephant, not the MPP elephant, a huge elephant standing on clay feet. So, if we want to secure the future, we have to go back to basics. I'm sure if I ask my colleague from Tema Central that I want to visit her branches today, the branches will be there in name, but not really there. So is the case in my Keta constituency, so is the case everywhere. And that will explain the reason why victory would be beckoning us in 2020, and come the finishing line, that victory will be taken from our hands. We need to come out with ideas, proposals, suggestions that will be incorporated into a national program that will make sure our party becomes even more firmly rooted. When this forum was called, many people have expressed some disquiet. Let me state from the very onset that this forum is not about choosing national executives for the party. This forum is not about electing a flag bearer for the party. This forum is a recognition of the fact that we have a formidable political organization, which unfortunately has become lame. Assuming that you're running a race with a strong horse, the horse is lame. Can you ride a horse to victory? So it is our collective responsibility to think through the actions that will heal the horse, strengthen the horse, so when we get a rider, however capable that rider is, he will have a very strong horse that will carry him to victory.
The NPP is making significant gains in our 8 strongholds, whilst the NDC has not improved its gains marginally or remained fairly stable within its stronghold regions, that is the Volta, Upper East, Upper West, and the 3 northern regions as classical examples. the NPP is making significant gains in its two stronghold regions of Ashanti and Eastern. You compare the amount of votes and then the quantum leaps from 827,804 to 1.7 million in Ashanti, and then 362,000 to 741,000 in Eastern region. Whereas if you compare that of the NDC, we have made a marginal increase of from 412,000 to 652,000 in Ashanti, and then in Eastern from 459,470 to 472,000 in Eastern region. So we have increased only about 200,000 in Ashanti region, and then about 20,000 in Eastern region, whereas they have increased by about over 400,000 in Ashanti region and about 300,000 in Eastern region. Is it time to put the old ways and means of winning elections behind us and put on the political strategic cap driven by research and data? The party that wins the race to the 1.5 million total net valid votes from its stronghold regions in 2024 most certainly would win the presidential election.
We need to apply the science of loyalty building. How do you ensure that A.B. Bright remains loyal to the NDC? Do you just take it for granted? What about those that we're recruiting who do not have the kind of emotional attachments and identity already established that I have to this party? How do we ensure their loyalty? I think that the party continues to lose its opportunities for reorganization and going back to the drawing board. We did it after 2016. I'm sure you know what we're talking about. Because as I stand here, I do not understand the Kwesi Botre report. This is something that was supposed to be good for all of us. The patronage versus mentorship. There are elders of this party. We cannot deny that. People with vested history and performance behind them. I would want to understudy them. I would want to learn from them. But I don't want them to put me above any other member of the NDC. I want them to teach me. I don't want to inherit their battles. So we need to concentrate on our strategy and policy, and then the direction and choice. There's only one thing, okay, maybe not one thing, but one of a few things that I envy about the MPP. I don't envy them at all, but a few things I envy is their loyalty to their direction. They don't make it about the individuals. They don't have to like me. They're looking for what I bring to the table for the advancement of the common good. Our party needs to be the common denominator. So let's tell that to all the people holding old grudges. And then, with all due respect to the era of Dr. Tony Adu and co., they led a research department that was strong and vibrant in our party.
And that was A.B. Bright, Tema Central NDC parliamentary candidate, expressing herself on some of the issues concerning the party presently. Before her, there was Ambassador Dan Abudapi, who is the Volta Regional Chairperson for the NDC Council of Elders. I mentioned before the break that we're going to be delving into the issues raised at the forum dubbed NDC Democratic Platform Initiative. And we have directly from the NDC some members who are going to be speaking to these issues, because we cannot attempt to answer them alone and understand the NDC's internal issues all by ourselves. So joining us, we have Madame Gabriela Tete. She's a member of the NDC's National Communication Team. She'll be joining us via Zoom. We are also joined by Joshua Akamba. He's a national organizer of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. He's also joining us via Zoom. And in studio, we have Honorable Entry Bosiako Setre. He is one of the organizers of the forum and also former Eastern Regional Minister under the NDC. Honorable, thank you for joining us in studio.
Thank you for having me.
We have heard from some members in the speeches they have given. What is this forum about, to begin with, so we are guided in our conversation?
As was rightly pointed out by the chairman of the function, Ambassador Dan Abudapi, He stated clearly that after election 2020, we need to look at issues surrounding our party and analyze them critically, and then look at how we become strong for 2024. Because sincerely speaking, the NDC was formed to give voice for the voiceless, to be a hope for the broad masses of workers, fishermen, market women, the downtrodden, the disadvantaged in society, and progressive intellectuals. Over the period, we have seen a slack back from these groups, these allies whose natural home is the NDC. Because they might not be seeing their aspirations being met or being pursued by the NDC. That's why they are leaving.
Right. Honorable, let me just quickly welcome Madam Gabriela Tete and also welcome Joshua Akamba. Hello, and thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Madam Gabriela, were you privy to this forum and did you attend?
Let me say a good afternoon to your viewers. Let me also say, we want to greet my senior comrade, Honorable Entry Bosiako, and to you as well. I was aware of the forum because I had seen adverts and flyers of it on our social media networks. And I also had the privilege of watching snippets of it via Zoom. That was also shared on one of our WhatsApp pages for those interested who were not physically at the forum to also follow through social media. So I had that benefit of watching through Zoom on social media.
What did you make of the proceedings?
Well, you know, I mean, we've just come from an election which we were not successful at in terms of winning the flag bearership race. But I think that we did quite well, looking at the numbers that we managed to chalk back. In 2016, we lost the election by close to 1 million votes. And in 2020, we managed to push back to a little over 500,000 votes.
Okay.
Now, at the forum, of course, also on the parliamentary side, we also managed to get back a lot of our seats. The constituency where I come from, for example, in 2016 fell to the NPP through Honorable George Anda. And in 2020, we managed to get that seat back. There were other constituencies where I campaigned that initially had gone to NPP, but fell back. Cape Coast North is also another example. Naturally, when we come back from any major elections, I mean, it's always important that we look back at what our weaknesses were and then to forge a way forward, to have a united front and to strategize on what we can do to prepare for the next general elections.
Right.
So I think that the sentiments that were expressed there were valid. I think that they were honest. I'm sure in the discussion we'll delve more into the actual issues. But my general overview of the forum was that it was an opportunity for other quote-unquote elements of the NDC to also come with alternative ideas as we all marshal together and draw a common agenda on how we prepare for the next general election, what to do to achieve 2024.
Thank you so much, Madam Gabriela Tete. I'm going to come back to you for a bit more explanation on these core values and principles. But before that, Mr. Joshua Akamba, hello, are you with us? Okay, I think we haven't been able to get a hold of him yet, but we'll keep trying. And as soon as he joins, we will revert to him. But in the meantime, Honorable Nchibosiako, now, when you talk about core values and principles, the typical question is, what are they? You know, what are these core values and principles? And is the party presently not practicing these?
Well, as I indicated at first, that our party must have even a core target to bring onto our platform. And I indicated to you, the core principles are probity, accountability, social justice, and grassroots participatory democracy. These are the core values of our party. And if you look at them one by one, you see clearly that they resonate with the broad majority of Ghanaians. And that is why, when we formed the party, it became so attractive for these groupings that I've said onto it. And in looking at the structure of our party, we made sure that it has been structured in such a way that will inure to the grassroots participatory democracy that we are talking about.
Do you think you're losing the grassroots participation?
Yes, that is what we assessed and saw. And we see political party is a voluntary organization. Nobody writes application to join. People join by their own volition as to the things that we are espousing. When they believe that we are not doing the same, they will leave. They won't write resignation letters. You will see it during elections or periodically as you see assess. And that's why we are saying that we need to go back to our principles and values and our way of engaging at the grassroots. In fact, clearly the chairman indicated that if you go to his constituency today, you will not see the branches. But it is the main unit of mobilization. And if it is not there, how do you mobilize? How do you grow the party? The party, as he indicated, has become a giant on clay feet.
Sorry, the party has become a what?
A giant on clay feet.
I see.
He used
That's not very stable.
an elephant.
That's not stable.
But he can't move
Okay.
because you can't take the steps. The steps must be taken at the grassroots, where actual people engage with the party and the aspirations are met. And that is why we see clearly in 1992, MPP engaged in the 1992 elections at the presidential. They were trounced, and then they went and boycotted the follow-up parliamentary elections. Why? Because they were in their own old age mobilization, where their lowest unit was that ward. The ward was coterminate to a town, whilst ours was a branch which was coterminous to a polling station. So the polling station where you cast your vote, you know the people who are there and were able to assess and actually know your members and those who are not for you.
Honorable, here's the curious question for me. Now, where is the disconnect coming from when in the 2020 election, the NDC seemed to have performed quite well in the parliamentary election? So coming out of that kind of election, how is there a conclusion that there's a problem?
Well, we did well in 2020. There's no doubt about it, but the figures are there. But if you look at the overall trend of the thing, and maybe you saw our concept, you will see clearly that whilst NDC is coming down, the MPP is going up.
So they are making gains at your expense.
Exactly, in our strongholds. And that's what I was talking about, the grassroots thing. Because in our strongholds, we are supposed to be able to endear ourselves to the people on the ground. And they must be happy to join and be members. Today, as we stand, if you want to join the NDC, no matter how enthusiastic you are, you cannot. Because when you go to the branch, that is the only place that you can join the NDC. When you go there, it is not there.
But why is it not there?
That is why we are saying that we should go back to our basis. It is not blaming anybody. it is changing tactics and strategy. When we met there, we didn't meet to castigate anybody. We met to make an assessment, looking at the data, looking at the research work, and showing how best we can prepare for the next elections. It's not against anybody or for anybody. And surely, if we do not do that and continue to organize as we have been doing, we'll be having a problem even on election day. Election day, it is not talking, it is just action. And it is distributed almost about 40,000 polling stations. So if we are not strong on the ground, you will be struggling. And that is exactly why we are saying we need to do that. In fact, if NDC people will remember, in 2016, in Cape Coast, when we were launching our campaign, His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, late, advised us that don't mimic the MPP. Stay on your values and principles and ensure that you are engaged with the people and will continue to win. They are comfortable at where they are and they know how to deal with it. And as one of my professors says, who will buy a counterfeit when there is an original? So let us stay on our original probity, accountability, social justice, grassroots participatory democracy. And we'll be high and dry.
But what is the main reason that has created the loss of these principles?
Well, it will need a lot of in-depth research and to identify. But we are saying that we have known that. And it's not just saying it is showing by trend analysis and that. So we need to go back to that. In fact, the first thing which becomes so clear is that our structures are not functioning. They are just there in name. Our process of growing the party is not there. Because even if we want to, look, we did a reorganization, we did new membership drive in 2017. After 2017, nobody has been able to become member and have a card because there's no avenue for that.
I see.
So we need to go back to it. It is not like a census that we do it 4 years, 4 years. It's a continuous thing. So that we should know that the party is growing or the party is declining, depending on where it is. And we must be very, very alert in engaging our strongholds and minimizing our losses in our hostile areas. But if we just leave it and we are just organizing, it's not going to help. And that is why our forum was directed towards that. And it was very clear from the speakers and how we steered the thing.
Was this forum organized by the whole of the NDC, or were there particular groupings that organized this forum?
It was the cadres
Okay.
and progressive elements of the NDC who organized it.
So those who were not part of the organization, are they not part,
You say, which one?
Those who were not part of the organization. You said the cadres and the progressive elements.
Yes, honestly, you see, every party has a lot of tendencies within the party. A party is not a monolithic organization where everybody agrees to everything. If you would think like that, you are making just a big mistake. So within that tendency, people will try to engage and share ideas and then float the ideas for its acceptance by the whole. Because, as NDC is, it was the principles and values which were the main ingredient for forming the party, which attracted the constituents into it and became members. So if the people are not seeing themselves in it, they might just withdraw. And that is what I am saying.
Interesting insight over there. Madam Gabriela, what I want to ask you, the party has been described presently as a giant on clay feet. Some people have described this as very lame and too weak to progress into the next election. Do you think that the NDC is a giant on clay feet?
I disagree. And let me start by just making a few comments on what my senior said.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I was in my constituency, Zawutu Senior West constituency. I was working together with two of the ward chairmen in one of the swing branches.
Okay.
Now, this area there's a town called Bodjas. In our Senior constituency, there are two particular areas that can determine who become MP. This is because of the population of these two areas. One of them is in my side of Awutu Senior, which is a Bodjas, which is in the Awutu Breku side. And then there's Senior itself, which is predominantly MPP. So to be able to win Awutu Senior, you have to do a lot of work in the wards in Bodjas. I was working with the wards through the branches, and they were very visible, and they were available.
Maybe perhaps these are just perhaps these are just a few constituencies.
In my constituency, they worked. During the campaign, I campaigned in no less than 13 constituencies in the central region.
Right.
I was working with through the women organizers. And every branch where we went, they were working to the branch women organizers. And at every branch where we went, I could identify who the branch women organizers were, and we campaigned together.
Right.
So when I hear people say it's generalized that when you go to the branches, you don't see the people, they are there. The actual title holders are visibly present. What I do agree with is that we're in opposition. So naturally, we will not have enough resources to trickle down like when we are in power.
So you think some of the issues are financial issues?
The weakness was more on financial and logistics than the actual organization. In Central Region, I mean, the Central Region is the swing region. And most of the seats that we lost in 2016, we managed to get them back. So I can't speak for the general organization of Ghana, but I can speak for my constituency and I can speak for my region, that the branches do exist, but there's a weakness that has to do more with financing and logistics.
Madam Tete, I don't mean to cut you, but let me just interject there. We realized that Kumbo made a submission that in 2016, the party was financially buoyant and yet lost an election. And in 2020, it was not so financially strong and still managed to make remarkable strides.
But that should show that the branches were working.
Right. So don't you think it's more of a people thing than a financial thing?
The branches were working all right, even though we did not have adequate resources.
Okay.
In 2016, we didn't lose the election only because there were a lot of factors that led to the loss in 2016. We all know, per trend analysis, that there's this 8-year cycle that all political parties, since the time we started this constitutional experiment, democratic experiment, that has been the trend. The NPP has a strategy to break the 8. If it wasn't a phenomenon that existed, the NPP will not strategize on how to break the 8. I think that although I respect my seniors and their opinions, but I think that there's a lot of generalization in their commentary.
Okay.
We have to give credit where credit is due. And at the branches, they lack resources. But despite those challenges, they still managed to pull through and give us the election that we had in 2020. In 2020, every constituency had its coalition result for presidential and for parliamentary, except for some few ones that are in contention in the court. There are challenges with national coalition. That is one of the problems we have to address. How do we get a proper electoral collation system up there? The NPP, he made mention about our numbers dwindling. Our numbers are not dwindling. The fact of the matter is that the NPP is deliberately deploying a political strategy to enhance its political advantage. One, basic factor, population is increasing. The NPP positions itself to make itself more attractive than the NDC. The NDC, we pride ourselves as we're social democrats. Between the NDC and the NPP, who implement more pro-poor policies? The NPP. Yet per ideology, it is rather the NDC as social democrats that should be championing those causes. We prefer to go piloting it. The NPP comes and they say, we don't want to pilot anything. We are scaling it up. Damn the consequences. We'll fix the consequences as we go along. Typical example, free SHS. You understand? So the part the NDC ought to be focusing on, and we are going to go for new branch elections, we're going to go for regional elections, constituency elections, all these other elections, back to national elections. But we have to go back to identify ourselves as social democrats. What policies, what programs can we put in place to benefit a lot of Ghanaians? And that's what will make us presentable to Ghanaians. At the end of the day, every Ghanaian wants to see improvement in their lives. As for things like corruption and nepotism, everybody comes and does the same thing. But the average Ghanaian wants to see that they will make life manageable for them. Cost of living is reduced. They have access, equitable access to all utilities.
Madam
They
Tete,
have access to good roads.
Madam Tete, now you made a point that the NDC prides itself on being a social democrat, and yet the NPP is putting in more interventions where poverty and vulnerable people are. Yes. Doesn't that mean that the NDC is neglecting one of its core values of social interventions?
It means that the NPP is better at scaling up those programs than the NDC.
Wow.
It means that the NPP, that's the truth. It means that the NPP has a very deliberate strategy of penetrating NDC's strongholds. And this is the general population, not specific constituencies and branches. The NPP knows that for them to win every election, Ashanti region is key. They do not abandon Ashanti region.
Okay.
The NDC knows that the regions that were giving her victory, the northern regions, the Volta regions, currently as we speak, the rate of population growth and migration into Ashanti region happens to be the second largest city in Ghana. If people are not migrating to Greater Accra, which is a swing region, they are migrating to Ashanti region, which is predominantly for the NPP.
Now,
what policy?
I see that you do not agree with all the assertions from the groups that organized this forum. Would you say the forum was necessary or not?
It was very necessary.
Right.
It's necessary because as political parties, we all have to share ideas on how to forge a forward march. All of us as members of the NDC have one simple agenda: to get the NDC back into power 2024 and to use the NDC as a political tool through the core values that they did mention to lift the lives of every Ghanaian. How do we position the NDC? And this is a question that they posed, and that's a question that lingers on all our minds. How do we position the NDC to become attractive to the people of Ghana, to inspire hope in the people of Ghana, that if they give us the power, we will deliver on the mandates and the dreams and the visions that they want? That is the question. How do we position the NDC? Forums like this, where people articulate solutions, is important. And everybody's idea counts. Because wisdom, as they say, does not reside in the mind of one person.
Yes. So, interesting question there. Thank you, Madam Tete. How does the NDC intend to position itself? That's the big question. How is it going to happen?
Clearly, I think that I also agree with her that,
okay.
I mean, this thing was necessary. It is important for us to analyze, look at the trend, and engage. You see, that is the participatory democracy is very, very key. Because sincerely, if you respect and accord a person's relationship and let the person participate, you will see that he is involved. If he is left and become top-down, but not bottom-up, it's a problem. But let me just indicate one thing. As Honorable Benkumbo said, you see, we need more commitment than money in elections. I believe sincerely that...
More commitment than money?
Yes.
I
because,
see.
Well, it is true. Money is important. But money alone cannot win election. I believe sincerely that Nana Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, would have realized with this last election that the monies they pumped, which we saw, I don't think that the results they got commensurated with the money they pumped.
Right.
If you have more money than you need for the election, the money will not reach the ground. The money will dissipate as it goes away. And that happened to us in 2016, which Benkumbo indicated. But you see, what is important?
Which particular point did the NDC start departing from these principles?
Well, it's been long. That's why we don't want to blame anybody.
Okay.
That's why we think that we need to engage.
So there's no specific element that has created this situation?
Yes, because if you do that, then you don't want to even let us have important conversation and be able to arrive at consensus as to the way forward. What I'm trying to indicate is that, you see, our own operatives on the ground must be educated on our principles and values so that their engagement will show that. Because a lot of people are saying, oh, the NDC and NPP, they are all the same now. It cannot be all the same. And our operatives must demonstrate that on the ground for everybody to see.
But when you say you need more commitment than money, don't you think it's a money issue that's causing these empty offices that you're describing?
Let me tell you, me and you, we are all NDC. I hear that you have been given flat screen. I was not given. And we think that both of us should go and vote.
Okay.
That is what I mean. So if we are just using money, that's why I've said that His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo would have realized that if we are distributing money as a way of organization, you will be punished on the touch line, the crossing line. When the people are committed, even with that money, or with little resources, because I would never say that money is not important. Money is important to carry out the organization. But money...
But you need a human commitment.
Exactly. So clearly, first, one of the key things that we need to do is to build the commitment of our operatives on the ground. We can do that by letting them know our principles and values and upholding them always and using them as the key for their mobilization and organization. That is very key. Two, you see, population is increasing. So if we say we have increased our vote, it is absolutely true. But what is the percentage? And how is that panning out with the general trend that we are talking about? And how are we either improving or not improving in our strongholds, in our hostile areas? These are the scientific analysis that we need to engage in and be able to strategize effectively to win. NDC was formed, as I said, to give voice to the voiceless. And also to ensure that it becomes a party for governance. So we need to do that and win elections.
Did the Botry report not solve all these issues?
I haven't seen it before. So I can't talk about Botry's report.
But it's accessible to all. Okay.
You have a copy.
So you haven't seen, is it for want of, for lack of not asking to see it, or it's not been available to you?
Well, we can't talk about that.
Okay, interesting, very interesting there. Now, I have a critical question for you. So you prepare for it, but let me bring in Madame Tete. Madame Tete, a lot of issues have been put forward. Now, my question was, has the Botwe report not settled most of these issues?
The Botwe report, I think that it was able to identify what some of the issues are, but not all the issues have been dealt with. Now, in 2020, when I was out campaigning, and when you talk to the general people who are going to vote, these are not NDC operatives. These are like everyday Ghanaians, but they vote NDC. Something as simple or something that you take for granted, like a T-shirt, NDC branded T-shirt, was grounds enough for somebody not to want to vote for you in 2020. Because in 2016, they did not get a T-shirt. Whilst my colleagues were in the NPP side, were out campaigning and distributing things like Maggie Cube, which is just 1 cedi. Their campaign was so easy because I kept telling them that, if I didn't have to be chasing T-shirts the whole time and it was just about Maggie Cube, I'll go straight to Unilever and tell them that give me a container of Maggie Cube. We've won the election. But the dynamics are different. And the issues that lead to people's grievances are also different. Somebody will tell you, since 1992, I voted for NDC, but when you guys came, because of this individual and how the person spoke to me, I've changed my mind. I'm going to vote GUM. And this was a trend that I found was very common. Those who wanted to vote GUM, they will not vote NPP, but they rather vote GUM. So when I saw the numbers that GUM was churning out, the first thing that crossed my mind was, these are disappointed NDC folks whose issues were not really dealt with. And how do you go and address the issues of T-shirts when there's no election? If you give somebody an NDC T-shirt right now, the value is not the same as when there's an election and they see that there's a particular type of T-shirt that everybody is wearing. So again, the issues on the ground are different. And every constituency that I've visited has different issues. What Eddie Bright suggested, which I think is very important, is that we give people the forum at the branch level, because the branches are small. They're like clusters of about 500 units, households. So we give people the opportunity at those levels to air the disappointment and the hurt and those grievances that they harbor inside. These are whether they are NDC operatives or they are ordinary foot soldiers or the ordinary Ghanaians who are sympathetic to the NDC. There are similar elements in the NPP, but they do well to cover those issues up and raise other matters. That is not our concern. What our concern is how to address the ones in the NDC. And I think that a forum that will allow people to just be open, and just try and heal wounds. But some of the issues are just, in my opinion, they are petty. But when you get to communities that are, especially predominantly rural communities, I'm fancy, right? So for us, the term we use there is mansoche. And the issues that they used to drag their mansoche sometimes is amazing. So a public forum to air your views here, I think it will help.
I like that you brought in Mansoche, because my next question hovers around that. What I want to ask, though, it goes to Honorable Bosiak. Now, there have been some accusations that some of these people or groups that organized the forum are simply anti-Mahama groupings that are looking for leadership that represents them instead of what the party has presently. Is this what we are seeing?
You see, when somebody wants to denigrate you, you will find something to tell about you. We have stated clearly our objectives and openly. So why will people then be saying that is our motive? Our motive is to look for a flag bearer. Our motive is to change the national executive. Why would that be our motive?
Oh no, is that a motive though?
It is not. It cannot be. In fact, the cadres we held a lot of conferences last year. I can give you the speeches whether there's anything against our leadership. We are committed to ensuring that NDC will come to power. If we are bickering about who will be the leader, how are you going to come to power?
Okay, committed to NDC coming to power, but is it with your chosen people, or
with our principles and values as the main ingredient for developing the country? That is all.
These internal party issues that are playing out publicly for everyone to see, don't you worry that it makes the party, or will make the party, unpopular to the electorate?
I don't believe so. You see, no matter how you try to sweep the thing under the carpet and that you openly think that it is gone, it cannot go away. It is better to deal with it and have consensus. Then you are sure that you have a united party to confront the election that is coming.
So you actually think solving these issues actually makes your party stronger?
Of course. It makes everybody becomes clear about his motivation, his aspiration, and what carries the person into exerting his energy for us to win. But if some people are sitting on the fence and only few are working, even though when we win, we'll say everybody, we all won. How are we going to win? It must be a concerted effort. And we know that politics is a game of numbers. So we need to strive to unite our party. Unity does not mean that all of us agree on everything. We agree on a set of principles and values which ushered us into the party at the first instant, and ensuring that we work together and win.
Now, when you talk about the deviation, doesn't it look bad on present party executives and leadership? Because if under their watch, the party seems to be deviating from old principles, that's not a good look for them.
No, we say it is like even a corporation, a corporate body. You can slide, but a review and look at what went wrong, make assessment and move forward. We are not even, look, I think Ben Kumbo made a statement. He said that NDC is a resilient party. Nobody is saying that NDC is useless. But there are some weaknesses we need to tackle and make sure that we become stronger and be able to confront the next elections with all the passion that we need to win.
Thank you so very much. Madam Gabriela is still with us. And Madam Gabriela, I just want to find out from you, that from where you sit, has this got any connection with party leadership, especially 2024 party leadership?
First of all, let me make it clear that I don't belong to anybody's camp. I'm a neutral one-man player show. And that's how I've run my politics over the years. I prefer to remain neutral and independent. This thing is very simple for me. Anybody who is interested in the flag bearership of NDC in 2024 should just present themselves to the people. We'll go for the elections and then we choose who will be our flag bearer. The conversations running around about how perhaps one person, there's a lot of eye on one person. This one person, whether we like it or not, has been a former president. He has his own base. Whether we like it or not, currently as we sit, he's like the number one financier of the NDC. Whoever pays the piper calls the tune. If you are ready to fund party activities, then you can also start calling the piper and they'll play your tune. But
looks like money is becoming quite important. Looks like the money is getting.
If anybody tells you that the money is not important in how we're running our politics these days, they'll be lying to you. And that's actually where the danger lies. When the senior traders make the argument about
one moment, I'll come to you.
Accountability, When our senior cadres make the argument about going back to values of probity and accountability, we currently have a social democracy school run by the NDC. That instils anybody who wants to even go and contest for parliamentary elections, you must go through that school and get a certificate so that they can indoctrinate you upon those values of probity and accountability and what social democracy is all about. We no longer leave that to chance for anybody to just walk through the door.
I've never heard about that
But
school.
the issue of the money part, but you know about what they call the school? I think Annabelle can better help us. You know, he used to be chief of staff in Professor Moses' office.
I see.
He's a very important man. You are in good company.
It's a big man.
Okay. He's a very big man.
Okay.
Back to the issue. So we have a school, right? I think the rector of the school is our deputy general secretary, Otukono. And what I do know is that everybody who's contesting for office goes through that program. The problem we have with monocracy in our body politics now is that even if the NDC goes with those values, if you see the NPP primaries during their parliamentary candidates, what they call it, parliamentary elections, you saw blenders, microwaves, flash screen TVs, and all those things. If the NDC says we are going to go with our core values, there are still going to be people within the population who will be attracted to blenders, microwaves, and all those things and not listen to us. Because at the end of the day, it's about bread and butter issues. So on the issue of money, it is a conversation that has to be had by the entire political fraternity and the dangers involved in allowing these gifts to run our politics. A day will come, we will have criminals, underground criminals who have had dirty money enter into our politics, and because of the privileges that political office holders have, will run all kinds of schemes and they'll be protected by the state because of money and how they manage to get into our body politics. And that will be very dangerous for our democracy. So on the issue of monocracy, the negative part of it and the extremities of it, personally, I have a big issue with it. But you also cannot run a political campaign and run the party political activities for that money. The people who are going door to door, they have to eat, they have to drink water, they have to take transport. The people at our branches at the grassroots, when you come to the urban cities, the people are much better when you go to the rural areas. The people in the rural areas, most of them, they are petty traders, they are farmers. How much do they earn? But they have to go door to door, speak to people every other day to share a certain fraternity with them. All that takes resources. When you go and somebody is sick, and you're talking about probity and accountability, is it probity and accountability that is going to pay the hospital bill?
Madam Gabriela.
Or at that moment, it is money that they are going to ask you for.
Madam,
so it's hand in hand, but there has to be a limit on how extreme it goes.
Madam Gabriela, is the NDC weakening itself for 2024 with all these issues that we are seeing? Previously, there was a dismissal of a party, in fact, former chairman of one of the regions. Then there was a suspension of another person. We've had the issues in Parliament. We've had the issues coming from the communications, the organizer, the communications director. What is the person outside going to see when they look at the party? Isn't there a weakening that will affect the party's chances in 2024?
When we allow everybody to air their grievances, we allow all ideas to come on board, so we give everybody a hearing ear, this whole concept of participatory democracy, I think that rather become a stronger force going into the next election. We know what led to our issues, our challenges in 2020. Going into the next election, what is important is that we reorganize ourselves as the retreat in Ho, as was communicated from the retreat in Ho, that we reorganize ourselves from the branches up, because that is how our system is run. It doesn't sit in Adabraka headquarters. It is in the hamlet and homes and trenches all across this country. Some very developed, some not developed. It is for us.
Okay. The screen has frozen there for Madame Tete, but we are almost wrapping up. Anyway, I was just going to take her closing remarks, but she did give some remarks that can count towards closing remarks. Honorable, sum it up for us. Where does the NDC go from here?
The NDC must move from here stronger, more dynamic, more vibrant on the ground. And we will be clearly in the lead for winning 2024.
Thank you so much. That's very short and very simple. And to you at home, thank you so much for tuning in to Spotlight. Today we were discussing a forum that is calling on the leadership of the National Democratic Congress to return to its core principles and values. As to how critical this call is and if it will even be heeded to by the leadership of the NDC, we have no idea. But of course, we'll bring you the updates as they play out. We were joined in studio by Honorable Entry Bosiako Setre. He's one of the organizers of the forum and the also a former minister of the Eastern region under the NDC regime. We're also joined by Madame Gabriela Tete, who is a member of the NDC's National Communications team. Thank you so much for joining us for 1 hour of your evening. We are grateful for your time. On behalf of the entire production team and myself, Nwang Falong, thank you. Good evening.